To this now, the High Court in Pretoria is expected to rule on whether the state may question accused number one in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial, that's Muzi Sibiya, about the alleged confession of co-accused Bongani Ntanzi. The defense insists that Ntanzi's statement cannot be used against others. Here's Chriselda Lewis now with a live update for us on this story. So this is a big development to look out for today, Chriselda. Tell us more.
Well, that's right, Mxolisi. As you indicated, judgment is expected this morning in the state's bid to have accused number one, Muzi Sibiya, cross-examined on the two alleged confessions by his co-accused Bongani Ntanzi. You'd recall that the defense has opposed this bid, arguing that Ntanzi's statements cannot be used against the other accused. You would have heard Advocate Charles Mnisi last week, who represents Sibiya, and accused number three, Muzi, argue that a confession cannot be used against another accused. And he says basically what the state is now wishing to do is to muddy the waters, something that he says is unconstitutional. So he says it's very important to identify the nature of that statement, whether it's an admission, a confession, or even an executive statement. So he says that the state is already saying a confession is an executive statement, and says that basically cannot happen. Sipho Musipile for accused number two, Bongani Ntanzi, also arguing that Ntanzi's alleged confession cannot be admissible against other people. Advocate Tulele Nxumalo for accused number four also having his say, saying that this is an attempt by the state to force open the door for the admission of such statements as executive statements against their co-accused. And he basically said that this will undermine the integrity of the court and the jurisprudence, and said it should basically be discouraged at all costs. Advocate Zandile Mshololo for accused number five basically argued, that the state, or accused the state of a trial by ambush by wanting to introduce a statement as a confession, and a pointings out, of course, you'd recall, by accused number one. And after the state had closed its case, she says, then it makes submissions, it says, and basically wants to refer them to as executive statements. She says there's actually a difference between the two. But on the other hand, the state is arguing that, the accused had basically spelled out his role as a lookout on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. And two of the people who were inside the house, who were Zandi Kumalo and Tumelo Madlala, who had taken the stand in this matter, basically said that two people had gone inside the house and pointed out accused number two and accused number one. Accused number one basically placed his role as a lookout, and the state basically says if you look at all the evidence, it has to be taken into account in its totality, and it emerges as that of executive statement. So we're expecting that ruling at 10 o'clock this morning, Mxolisi.
Certainly looking forward to that. That's SABC News senior reporter Chriselda Lewis monitoring developments on that for us.